Good morning. It's early here in Maine. Got my first cup of fake coffee and welcome. My name is Michael Stewart Heath. This is MSH Live. And this morning I'm going to live stream a recent debate between men who want to be governor of Maine, 8 of them. The video, I don't know the source of the video, but the video appeared on X in an account that I follow. So I'm using that video as my source for the debate between the 8 hopefuls for next year's election in November. Now, there's another election coming right up on November 4th, known as a municipal election. So it's an off year. Next year is called the midterms, and that's when Mainers turn out every 4 years to select a governor. So in the last round, I threw my hat in the ring way at the beginning, and I offered myself as a candidate in the Republican primary. And here's the website from that effort. I pulled the plug on it early in the election year before the primary really got rolling because of 2 reasons. One, I did not raise enough money to justify staying in the race. And 2, I threw my hat in the ring to discern whether I still had any connection to my old Christian Civic League of Maine base. And so without money and without a base, I decided it was imprudent to continue. But this brought back memories this morning. Going back, I hadn't looked at this website for years, and I had noticed that it had been turned off. I didn't know that. So I turned it back on. So you can go to look at it if you want, keithforgovernor.com. And there's an about page here. Tells you a little bit more about me. And if for any reason you ever wanted to invite me to come speak to your church or group, there's a printable version of a 1-minute biography that you could use. I chuckle because that all stopped. Being invited to speak at churches and groups all stopped for me back in 2007-ish because of my refusal to bend over and receive the sodomy agenda into my professional and political self. Of course, the Christian Civic League of Maine did bend over, and ever since has followed the orders of the hidden oligarchs who have given permission all along the way, it seems, to fight over abortion. And now they've given permission to fight over trannyism. But permission to debate sexual orientation was withdrawn by the hidden forces of the West back in 2006, 7-ish, around there, about the same time that Maine fell on that issue, and that was in 2005. Everything collapsed rapidly in the West after Maine fell in 2005 because, anyway, I want to get to the governor's debate. This got me thinking this morning, this website, about throwing my hat in the ring since there's so many this time. Last time it was a coronation party for Paul LePage, and that was decided by by Jason Savage and the Republican State Committee, and forces above them that were pledging lots of money to the LePage campaign general election. And so they did everything they could to keep me, and I guess everyone else, out of the primary. So all sorts of backhanded, stupid stuff, which I wrote about on this website. If you click on the blog, then you can read all about it, because I documented what happened during that campaign. And yeah, check it out if you're at all interested. So here's the gubernatorial debate that happened. It looks like it happened. That looks like the Augusta Civic Center. I'm told that it was $250 a seat to get in. I can't afford that. And even if I could afford it, I wouldn't give that amount of money to the Maine GOP, knowing what I know and what I've experienced at their hands during my entire career. And I wouldn't be watching this debate if I weren't able to look into this camera and talk with you about it, because Maine politics has descended to such obscene lows of corruption and insanity that it's hard for me in my retirement to justify taking time, too much time, I should say. I still, for sort of hobbyist reasons, enjoy taking time to try to keep track of politics in Maine, at least a little bit. But unless something super dramatic changes, for me, it's still mostly a waste of time. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this, and I'm going to pause it when my timer goes off, because I have to go check my wood fire, which I started this morning to take the chill off. Still not wood burning season in Maine just yet, but my wife kind of likes the house a little bit toasty, so we start burning wood early. So let's see how this thing gets started. I haven't watched this before, so no promises I'll watch it to the end. We'll see.
Okay, while we're finally getting settled down here, a few stragglers coming in, I just want to say good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Bierman, chairman of the Maine Republican Party, and I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's Republicans Governors Forum. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to attend this important event. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to us to have a great turnout. As you will shortly see, we are blessed to have so many accomplished individuals who have stepped up to run for governor of the great state of Maine. Please be respectful of the time allotments given to the candidates and hold your applause to a minimum, even for me. Thanks for laughing. Tonight we want to hear from you, from them, and we want to give them as much time as possible to answer as many questions as time permits. So I would like to introduce I'm going to go with I'm going to introduce Jason Savage, our executive director, who will proceed with the rules tonight.
Not going to go through every detail of every rule that the candidates have been told about, but the broad overview here is the candidates will have 2-minute introduction, 1-minute response, 2-minute closing remarks. They will be allowed a 1-minute response if their name is mentioned by another candidate. Rules for the room and in the crowd, we, like the chairman said, we're asking people to control that applause so that applause doesn't become something that takes away questions at the end. We do have a pretty heavy list of questions we're going to try to work through. I will ask that anybody who is standing in the back of the room to find a seat, do not stand in the back of the room and talk and make a bunch of noise and be disrespectful to the people who paid to be here. This is a plague among political operatives You are not more important than the people in their seats. If you talk and interrupt or interfere, we will ask you to leave. So with that, I'm just going to ask the chairman to take our seats and we will get started.
I'd like to ask the members of the State Committee to rise and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, while you're watching the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to...
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
I'll be right back.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Testing 1, 2.
justice for all.
Christina Parker, the Communications Director for the Maine Republican Party, will perform the invocation.
If you all bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today and that everyone was able to arrive safely. I pray safety over this event and that everything we do will be good and glorifying, and that people will be able to say what they think and be able to communicate their ideals, and that everything will run smoothly. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Now we will take our seats and begin.
So I just noticed that I didn't have my microphone on for the introduction that lasted about 10 minutes, so probably nobody heard what I said. But anyway, if you just joined me, you can, and you go back to the beginning, you'll see that I talked a little bit about the website I built when I tested the waters for governor for the Republican primary back the last time, 2021, I think it was. And what I'm doing today is this morning watching the recent debate between 8 gubernatorial candidates that was held at the Augusta Civic Center. I think it was about a week ago, and just got started. They've said the Pledge of Allegiance and introduced some of the leadership of the Maine GOP. So here we go.
I'd like to start with opening statements. Tonight we're going to go left to right on opening statements and right to left on the closing remarks. So, Mr. Charles, you're first.
And I'll try to stay at 2. Good evening. I'm Bobby Charles, and first let me say we have an incredible field here running for governor. And of course, the best thing we all have going for us is the Democrats, who continue to devastate our state, making it unaffordable, unsafe, and revoltingly woke. I am running to reverse that, to cut crime, cut taxes, and end the nonsense. My life is blessed. I'm the father of 2 great kids. I grew up in the woods over in Wayne, was raised by a school teacher, began working at 12, saved my money, worked through college, then worked to serve my country. I did that for 10 years in uniform, Navy intelligence, Reagan White House, top federal investigator, Assistant Secretary of State, where I ran a $2 billion operation bringing down drug traffickers, trained the Iraqi and Afghan police, and ran the largest armed air wing outside the Pentagon. Eventually, I started a company dedicated to national security and law enforcement, ran it for 25 years. I understand what it's like to make payroll and to borrow against your house to do that. But the state I came back to is not the one I left. Maine is in peril. As governor, I will rid this state of corruption and all the ugliness that Janet Mills has created. Great minds say we can cut $4 billion out of the budget. I will eliminate the income tax. I will roll back the property taxes, ramp up homestead exemptions for seniors and young Mainers, and I will cut energy costs by at least 30%. As the only crime fighter up here, I will wire brush the illegals, organized crime, drug traffickers, and Chinese grow houses out of this state. And I will work with Trump's ICE and DEA to make sure it's done. I will lift our vets, rescue our kids from indoctrination, and restore real education. I will get the trades back into high schools and create a path to prosperity. A few last things. First, I will work hard to elect a GOP legislature. I think we can do that. I will replace the 7 liberals who sit on Maine's Supreme Court. And now let's make some news. I will call for a special federal prosecutor to investigate the corruption around Janet Mills. My promise is this: I will work tirelessly to get our state back on track. I will cut crime, cut taxes, no nonsense. Thank you.
A company called Crunch Fitness Franchising as the chief executive officer and founding partner, and over 15 years built that to the #1 fitness company in the country, if not the world. We had 500 locations, 3 million members, over $1 billion in revenue, and I created 15,000 jobs building that company. So I know how to figure it out, how to create structure and momentum and a very positive culture, which hasn't been happening in this state for a very long time, which was the reason I decided to run for governor, and also seeing the decline as rapidly as you all have in this state.
I've never heard of this guy. I don't know a thing about him, but build a very positive culture. And I don't know, he sounds really lame to me. Bobby Charles, by the way, I've been following him online because he's been dumping a lot of money into social media. So yeah, that's my phone going off. He's been dumping a lot of money into social media and drawing my attention because he's been punchy and direct, and he's speaking out on the issues that I care about. And his opening statement was strong, articulate. My only concern is he's a bushy, and I don't see him being a manager within the national government at that level as being all that impressive to me, just like I'm not all that impressed with the fact that Trump was this oligarch, a billionaire businessman. What we need is a moral leader. And I heard strains of that in Charles's narrative, but I'll keep listening. I started following him, whenever he first blasted off on social media. On X, that's where I tend to focus. I figure if people are going to be on Facebook, they're also going to be on X. I've never done Facebook because I see that as a full-on mind control game and extremely dangerous, even for a guy like me with his eyes wide open. So I have had an account there that I've maintained, but I never dived into the deep end of the pool. So let's keep going. I may skip right over this guy because he bores me. But anyway, here we go.
Which has really got me to the point that you've got to do your best to get this fixed, as we all do. Thank you.
Wow, that was short. He didn't even take his 2 minutes. He won't last long.
Ken Capron.
Ken Capron, he's here. I was born in Eastport, and I've been a Mainer ever since. And I'm proud to say that I am a resourceful Mainer, somebody who can make do with what you got, or do more with less. And that's pretty true across the state. I've seen a lot of blue tarps on our roads. It's funny, the health hospital people didn't get that one either. The reason I'm running, and that's the only thing that's really important right here, is the reason I'm running is because for the first time since 2004, when I first got involved in politics, the requirements fit what I can do. I'm a CPA, I'm a systems engineer, I've done financial fraud investigation, I've done 900-page audit reports, I've done system efficiency. Those are the things that we need in Augusta the most right now. If it's not, you folks can vote for one of these other 7 candidates, or however many are there when voting time comes. But if you want the problems in Augusta solved by a professional who knows what it takes, not somebody who's not sure what it takes, I know what it's going to take to unravel the mess in Augusta. I'm proud to say that I'm the son of 2 very successful and somewhat wealthy sons who are, one who's doing well in Maine and one who refuses to come back to Maine because it's not a very good opportunity for him. So he's down in Massachusetts. When he left Falmouth, Maine, he He got hooked up in the IT industry, and today he is the head of AI for Cognizant, a worldwide technical company. I'll leave it at that. If you have questions, I will come and visit you with at least a phone call, whatever it takes. I'm there. I'm there for you. And when I started the Glenn Beck 912 project, I pledged to give my life to this party to make sure that Maine succeeds. And thank you very much.
Senator Jim Libby.
Thank you. I'm Jim Libby, and I've got 2 minutes to tell you how good I am. So, geez, I'm going to have to really work at this one. But let me tell you, first of all, I have been in the trenches my entire life. And so a lot of people in the Republican Party, the first thing they say is professor. Because those of you that know me know that I'm a professor. Yeah. I've been an academic dean. I've been a professor.
Hello.
I've been an economist. I've been a basketball coach. I've been a girls basketball coach. There's so many roles.
Are you
that
coming
I've had,
into the debate
and
or what?
each one of those roles, they really, in addition to be a senator, each one of those roles were hard.
You clicked on the
that's
wrong
what I
link.
want people to understand is like, I have been battling on your behalf for a long time. Who else is teaching your kids and grandkids free market economics in college? Who else is doing that? Who else has been
Well, that might have been the old one. Anyway, you're not in on this one.
Hiring people that could really get the job done. Who else has been leading an organization like I do? And I'm not going to name my organization. You'll have to find out. But I've worked at many full time at places like Thomas College, St. Joseph's College, Colby College, and I really believe in education. So I've been on the Education Committee and Cultural Affairs Committee of the state legislature 3 different times out of my 6 terms in office. And my 6 terms in office were over 30 years. They weren't consecutive. I've been doing this for a long time. I believe in the Republican Party. I've been working my tail off. And so I tell everybody, you know, it is really important to differentiate myself, so I do. I tell people, I've got a PhD. I work full time. I've never taken an unemployment check in my life. I've had a job full time since 1987 in this state. I'm a 14th generation Mainer. I care about this state. And I know how to be governor because I've worked with some of the better ones. Chuck McKernan was probably my favorite, and the thing that he taught me was, if you threaten the veto, you're gonna, first of all, you're gonna be a backwood for your party if they're in the minority. If they're in the majority, then we've got everything that we need. But if you threaten the veto, the 2 sides will have to work together. And you can get your own way anyway. So there you go. Thank you.
All right, I'm pleased to be joined by Paul Madore. You can see him there, Paul. Good morning.
Morning.
All right, we got audio, we got visual. So you haven't missed much. The high point that you missed is
that was Libby, right? That was Jim Libby.
That was Jim Libby. Yeah. I'll scroll it back and we'll watch him from the beginning. But the first guy to speak was Bobby Charles, and he did a great job. In my opinion, he pretty much hit a home run. The only thing I commented about as a question is I'm not impressed with his connections to the Bush administration, and right. I'm also not terribly impressed with him.
Save it for the interview. Save that for the interview. That needs to be in there.
For what interview?
Well, we're gonna do the debate and we'll comment, right?
Right, but I'm just catching you up on what's already gone by.
Well, let me ask you, do you plan on leaving that out or do you want to put it in, those comments in there?
Well, they're already in there. I've been going since 8. I've been going for 24 minutes.
Mike.
6, I mean, since 6.
Mike, I've been trying to get it in for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know that you had the wrong link, so whatever. We're here now. So what I'm trying to say is you haven't missed much. The only thing you missed was Bobby Charles, and then a couple of guys who didn't even take their full 2 minutes.
What I'm trying to say is, do you intend on putting those comments in about Charles and Bush?
Oh yeah, they're in there already.
All right, good.
Yeah, they're in. So my concern about Charles is his connection to the Bush family.
Right, right.
And then also he's making a claim to having the experience necessary to serve as Maine's governor by pointing out that he led large military ops within the national government. And that to me is kind of come see, come saw.
Right.
What
That's standard fare. It's typically standard fare for anybody that's serving in that capacity, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, that's sort of the high points. And then, like I say, the other two guys didn't even take their 2 minutes. I feel like they're just kind of there to throw their hats in the ring and see what happens.
Sure.
But I'll scroll back for Jim Libby, and we'll listen to all of him because he's a known quantity in Maine politics. He goes back at least 30 years, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember him. I caucused with him.
Yeah. So he's a seasoned political leader with a voting record.
Yeah. Sure.
And this guy that spoke before, this older gentleman, is a born and bred Mainer and is offering his skills as an accountant, auditor, to be governor and audit the finances of Maine. So
Right.
that's good. Hopefully, if he's
That's
a
good
native
quality.
Mainer, seems like a good old soul.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to win for governor, but maybe he can, if he stays in long enough, he can.
You never know, right?
Right, he can end up in the administration somehow and provide some help. So
Mike, why don't explain to me how you want to do this? So you're gonna play the debate. You're gonna start the debate. Excuse me, and then you're gonna record what you're playing, and then we're gonna comment. Is that it?
yeah, well, we're public right now. We're live streaming, so
Thanks.
I encourage you to speak out, speak up. If they say something you agree with, disagree with, if you want me to pause it, I can pause it. But that's why we're doing this the way we're doing it, is so that you and I can offer comments.
Sure. No, hey, listen, I got up at 5 o'clock for this. Actually, 4:30 actually.
Well, I'm sorry we missed the beginning. That was partly my fault, partly your fault, technical problem, because you were going to be with me yesterday morning. So I'd sent you 2 links and they appeared close in your email.
Look, not to exacerbate this whole thing, but I called you 2 or 3 times. You never answered. So
yeah, I know. I was on the live stream
okay.
trying to decide how to handle it. I'm still new to the production of live streams, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm getting used to StreamYard.
I want to give you 150,000 million miles.
Yeah, so.
I would not want to do it. I do need a graphics card, which is why I blank out every once in a while.
Right, probably. Could be that. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's a graphics card for sure. I emphatically told the guy when I bought the computer, I don't do graphics.
Yeah. Right. Well, it could also be the age of the computer. It could also be
Not that old. It's only about 8 or 10 old. 8 or 10 years old.
That's old.
No,
in
it's
computer.
not.
In
No,
computer.
I'm 75 years old, Mike. That's old.
Right. So, all right, here we go. So we're going to listen to Jim Libby. So,
Yeah. All right, good.
Well,
All right.
Go here, and we'll do this.
He's the
Make
first.
sure that Maine succeeds. And thank you very much.
Senator Jim Libby.
Thank you. I'm Jim Libby, and I've got 2 minutes to tell you how good I am. So, geez, I'm going to have to really work at this one. But let me tell you. First of all, I have been in the trenches my entire life. And so a lot of people in the Republican Party, the first thing they say is professor. Because those of you that know me know that I'm a professor. I've been an academic dean. I've been a professor. I've been an economist. I've been a basketball coach. I've been a girls basketball coach. There's so many roles that I've had. And each one of those roles, they really, in addition to being a senator, each one of those roles were hard. And I think that's what I want people to understand is, like, I have been battling on your behalf for a long time. Who else is teaching your kids and grandkids free market economics in college?
I don't know, Paul. I got to pause there. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I just had a sneezing spell there.
Yeah, that's okay. So I got to pause there. So did you hear what Jim said?
I heard everything he said. Go ahead.
So I don't consider that little resume to be all that hard. I mean, he says
Mike, it's not a question of difficulty. I'm sure he has his niche somewhere, but it kind of troubles me in education. He was a professor. You know, is he BLM? Is he Antifa? You know, is he sympathetic to Antifa? Of course, he's not BLM. He's not Antifa, but is he sympathetic to them? Does he understand the harm that they're doing in culture and in education?
Great point, because the public schools are the heart and the beating heart of the left in Maine right now.
Yeah.
In all of our villages, and he's using that as to brag that he's a professor in the education.
But I want to give him a chance. I want to give Jim a chance. I caucused with him. That's because I ran for the Senate, for the state Senate, at least 3 times. And finally, I gave it up, and I said, you know, this is not. You know, people are telling me I'm too conservative because I'm against abortion and homosexuality.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what makes you too conservative, that's what's making government so corrupt.
That's right.
So morally debased and corrupt. They don't have compassion for the American people. Go ahead.
Yeah, and those are 2 issues where Jim Libby's has showed no courage, no insight, no strength, no help, offered no help on either of those issues through the years in Maine.
Just a run-of-the-mill candidate.
Correct. So we're going to keep on giving Jim a chance.
Who's the guy with the blue hat anyway?
That's a lifetime Mainer who is an accountant. I don't know his name. I don't know his name or the name of the guy before, because they kind of mumbled their names when they introduced themselves. The guy in the blue hat is from coastal Maine. I don't remember the town. And he's offering to do an audit of Maine. He's an accountant.
Who else is doing that? Who else has been an administrator, like an academic dean in college, and hiring people that could really get the job done? Who else has been leading an organization like I do? And I'm not going to name my organization. You'll have to find out. But I've worked at many full-time at places like Thomas College, St. Joseph's College, Colby College. And I really believe in education. So I've been on the Education Committee and Cultural Affairs Committee of the state legislature 3 different times out of my 6 terms in office. And my 6 terms in office were over 30 years. They weren't consecutive. I've been doing this for a long time. I believe in the Republican Party. I've been working my tail off. And so I tell everybody, you know, it is really important to differentiate myself, so I do. I tell people, I've got a PhD, I work full time. I've never taken an unemployment check in my life. I've had a job full time since 1987 in this state. I'm a 14th generation Mainer. I care about this state. And I know how to be governor because I've worked with some of the better ones. Chuck McKernan was probably my favorite, and the thing that he taught me was, if you threaten the veto, you're gonna, first of all, you're gonna be a backboard for your party if they're in the minority. If they're in the majority, then we've got everything that we need. But if you threaten the veto, the 2 sides will have to work together. And you can get your own way anyway. So there you go. Thank you.
Robert Wessels. Good evening, everyone. I just want to start out by having a sappy moment here. 2 years ago, I was sitting in the Civic Center and I was looking around the room and I knew nobody. And it was right around that time that I had just launched my campaign for governor. And so I'm looking around the room tonight and I know a ton of you. And so those of you who don't know me, come on over, let's talk. I'd love to chat with you. But the last 2 years I have been campaigning around the state and it's been an amazing experience. And I've absolutely loved having the conversations with thousands and thousands of Mainers all over the state. And so, who is Robert Wessels? Sorry, thank you for going down memory lane with me. I'm a businessman and I have my MBA. I am just a everyday Mainer who looked at Augusta and said, this is not sustainable, this is terrible, somebody's got to do something, and I have the ability and I'm willing to do it, and so I stepped up to do it. I also acknowledged that nobody knows my name, so I need to get started early. I'm a family man, and we homeschool all 3 of our kids. They're 17, 19, and 21, and 2 of them are here tonight. So again, just to me, family matters. And when I look at where we are as a culture and where we need to be, we have so much ground to make up with the family and parental rights. Education as well. I'm a financial coach. I've been doing financial coaching, Dave Ramsey, for the last 18 years. And so I'm one of those budgeting nuts that absolutely, just give me a good spreadsheet and we can work on that. So again, why am I running? I'm running for my kids. I'm running for our future. We absolutely must focus on education, and we must focus on the economics of our state because we are hurting. Thank you.
So I'm going to pause here. So, Paul, we've heard from Jim Libby and Wessels. Give you a minute to give your impressions. Wessels has been around for a while, trying for governor, but he's never served in public office. Go ahead.
Well, the one that I think we're going to have a bit of a challenge with is Libby. And I'm trying to define him charitably. He's a nice guy, and he's got a myriad of experiences that would want to make you listen. I don't have that experience. Maybe that's why I'm not running for governor. But in the time that I've known him, controversy is not his. It's not his cup of tea, and I don't know how to define. I don't know how to define him, and I don't want to be uncharitable. He's legitimately a nice guy. As I said, I've caucused with him. I've spent a lot of time kind of lobbying. I'm not a lobbyist. I never was a lobbyist. I never registered as a lobbyist. But you're entitled as a citizen and as an activist to go in there and talk to people occasionally, and without violating any of the professional protocols that lobbyists have to have. And he's never struck me as a guy that would draw a line in the sand and say, look, you're not doing this. It's not right. I don't have any moral, there's no signature to this guy that tells me that he'll stand hard and tough on issues inevitably that are immoral. And anybody who thinks that he can serve in government and not have that moral compass, in my book, is just a nice guy.
Well said. I was a registered lobbyist, and I did lobby Jim. And you're right; he is a nice guy. He'll listen to you. He's polite, but he was never there in any way, shape, or form on the most controversial moral issues that I can remember on any of them in any area. He just sort of disappears into the wallpaper and is a good listener. And
that's a good expression. Disappears into the wallpaper. That's exactly
right. And then he'll vote. And so I would see him, should he become governor, as forming consensus, working to form consensus.
Sure.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it can be a bad thing if the times require someone more in the direction of Trump. And obviously at the national level, what we're seeing with the political experience that we're all having with between Donald Trump and the Democrats is that the desire of the country is for what Trump represents, which is this direct masculine approach to everything. In fact, sometimes I wish he had a little more Jim Libby in him, but
he avoided me. I can say personally that he avoided me because I was a sign of contradiction, given the harsh realities that we had to deal with. I've never heard anything of him speak on family life. Why isn't that the responsibility of a governor to be concerned about family life? Why isn't that a responsibility? Why is
and Wessels brought that up, right? He talked about being family man with 3 kids.
I'll get to that in a minute. So we can contrast Wessel. Mike, how do you spell his last name?
Wessels, I think. Wessels.
Okay, right. Okay, good. And that right away is a good segue. But just to finish up on Libby, considering the number of times that I caucused with the legislature, with the Senate, uh, I could put in a small cup the comments he ever made in his contribution to the legislature on where he stood on certain bills. I never saw him to be very articulate, kind of tender-footed, and I think when conversations didn't appear to be resolved, he'd head for the door. That wasn't a good sign for me, you know.
Right. So on Wessels, I'll just comment quickly before you do. He's been out there. He's right, as far as I can tell from the evidence. He has met thousands of Maine people. He's done a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
He's relying heavily on real world campaigning tactics, and he's been at it for a couple years already. He, according to his testimony, I learned he's a real dedicated family man, which is good. But the high point for me with him is he mentioned that he has used Dave Ramsey's financial tools to help Maine people work on their finances, and that's a positive for me. But it's a positive at a personal level. It's not necessarily a positive at a political or fiscal level with respect to Maine's financial reality. So go ahead on Wessels.
He's a nice guy. He's
right.
And people will wonder, say, well, Madore, what's your problem? You're looking for somebody that's superhuman? I'm looking for a force of nature. And I'm not going to stop until I find it. And I'm not going to waste my time and my precious resources, and they are many. I'm capable of weighing in on campaigns and being a pivotal force in anybody's campaign, but I'm just not going to do it if they don't have a moral character. I'm just not going to do it, because what's happening in our society, it's systematically being destroyed, dismantled. The moral fiber of our country is going belly up.
Right.
Full stop.
Yep. So let's continue on. Mr. Wessels gets a nice guy check mark from Paul, and Jim Libby gets a nice guy check mark. And so we'll keep on going here.
Jonathan Bush.
Hello there. I'm Jonathan Bush,
Oh,
and
boy.
I am a disruptive innovator by trade. I'm the father of 7 fantastic children, some of them may be adults by now.
Wow.
And I am a fanatic Maine optimist, because I have had the singular joy of looking under the economic hood in Waldo County of the Maine workforce and building 1,000 of the most marvelous, resilient, valuable jobs, growing net income in Waldo County 4 times more than the rest of the state. And yet, when you look outside of that one beautiful moment, we're in a terrible mess. Gosh, we are on the top of every list you don't want to be on, and we're on the bottom of every list you want to top. I don't know whether it's education at 39, down from number 1, infrastructure at 49, thank God for Alaska. It goes on and on. And it's because of a leadership culture that is toxic. There is an obsession with self-hating social engineering that has taken over this state, a largely conservative, self-sufficient state, over the last 10 years, and it blows my mind. What to do about it?
He's right about that.
We must act quickly. We must bring the American dream back in here and make it believable in Maine. That means we need to cut taxes, start with income by $1 billion. Then we got to audit Augusta, go through every line item and find the duplication and waste and automate and delegate, as I have done countless times before. Then we got to make Maine the easiest place in the country to build a home or a business. Today, we're almost the bottom. Now, I know these changes will be resisted. I know whole clubs and ecosystems of entrenched interests have grown up around this, but I know how to change that, and Lord help me, I will. Thanks.
Wow. Well, he's probably the front runner just because of his name and his money, his access to money.
Yeah. But he's hitting on a lot of important issues there.
Yeah, he is.
You know, if he's sincere, if he's just not making an observation that can be used as talking points, if he really means what he says, he's got the fiber and the spirit that can do a lot of good for Maine.
Hmm.
Of course, what clouds my mind is the Bush connection. We were told a lot of things about Bush, and all we got was the war in Iraq, and and I don't. That can't. How do you separate yourself from that harsh reality? That I think W is the most recent one I remember. I remember his father. Of course, I remember them all, but they had a similar passion for doing the right thing, and then we were left with weapons of mass destruction. It's hard to separate yourself from that. When your kids play in mud, they get dirty, and that's what I can remember. You get crowd goes all over the place. How old is he?
I don't know. 7 kids. You seem to like that.
I did. That's a very noble station in life, to be a father of 7 kids, 7 children, and so livelihood and future, the viability for a good and healthy future is right. It's right there for us to see.
Yeah. And I was impressed with his speaking style. He's obviously very comfortable in front of audiences, which is an important characteristic in a governor. That it's the chief executive. He's got to speak well, and in terms of representing Maine to groups. I am aware that he started to block some of our most bold activists online, like Richard. I don't know if he's blocked Richard's account, but there's some suggestion, some data points showing up from the Bush campaign that they've got it figured out. They've probably hired the most expensive political consultants in Maine.
Yeah, they don't need to bother guys like us, and I get it. But that doesn't mean we're going to help them.
Right. So that's John Bush, probably the front runner. So we'll keep on going here.
David Jones.
Well, before I start, if we could just take a moment and a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. As I'm starting, I'm going to tell you what I am not. I am not a lawyer. I am not a lobbyist. I am not a DC swamp rat. I've been working my entire life to make sure that the people here in the state of Maine get the representation that they're supposed to. I'm a businessman. First off, I'm a family man. My wife Nancy's here with some of my children tonight. I've been married to Nancy for 40 years. I have 6 children. I have 8 grandchildren. One was born just the other day. Renee Louise Jones, right? It's new, right? It's new. And there's so many of them. But I'm the guy that signs the front of the paycheck. I'm the guy that you read about that started from scratch. Didn't have any money. My parents were so broke they couldn't pay attention. I was in the construction business. I built my construction business up, and I've built a great life. And I've been living this life here in the state of Maine. I've invested 28 years of my life to make this a better place. I've been doing conservative efforts here in the state of Maine for over 20 years. I've been on a radio show with my buddy Ray Richardson. I don't know if anybody hears it. But we're about getting people out to vote. I'm running for governor because I know I'm that guy. I've been told I'm that guy. This was not a lifelong ambition for me to be the governor of the state of Maine. It's a calling. I felt that I had to do it because I have the skills. And you need somebody with skills. The next person that goes up to Augusta has to have the fortitude, the passion, and he has to be a warrior. I want to be your warrior. I want to be your governor.
And I can guarantee you, you will not find anybody that'll work as hard and as smart as David Jones. Thank you very much.
You all are doing a fantastic job staying right on time here. Owen McCarthy.
So it means like extra minutes, right? No. My name is Owen McCarthy. I'm a proud native of Patton, Maine, the son of a third-generation logger and a second-generation lunch lady. I grew up in a trailer on my grandfather's land, and growing up, I had a great path. At the time, the schools were the fourth in the country. We had great community values of hard work and integrity. I went on to college to be the first in my family to graduate from the University of Maine on the pulp and paper program in engineering. I worked in the paper industry, and then I became an entrepreneur. I started a medical device company to help people improve their walking if they have a stroke or live with Parkinson's disease. Brought $60 million of venture capital into this state, created good paying jobs, and did it all from here. I'm also a husband and a father of Oliver and Theodore, who are 5 and 2. And as I look across Maine today, I don't think the next generation has the same opportunity that I had. I don't think it's affordable to live here if you're a working class Mainer anymore. And that's why I'm running for governor. And as I look across Maine today, I blame the 7 years of one-party rule in Augusta for the reason why if you work hard and play by the rules, that's no longer enough. The cost of living is out of control. Taxes are some of the highest in our nation. Our test scores are low. Drugs are hitting our communities and young people are fleeing. And this is unacceptable to me. But it doesn't have to be that way. We need a change of direction and a fresh way of thinking. We're also in the fourth industrial revolution led by AI and the reindustrialization of America thanks to President Trump. And we can take advantage of that, but we can't take advantage of that if we elect another Democrat to this governor's seat in 2026. So we must win. The time is now to turn the page. Because we need something very different, because working class families like the ones I grew up with are hanging on by a thread, and there's no room to breathe. We need to make sure the next generation of Mainers have an opportunity, and I don't want to lose them because they're the heart and soul of the state. And that's why, as a friend of mine, Mike, coined, in June of next year, I hope that you all will be saying, I'm going with Owen.
All right,
You want to pause it, Mike?
We're going to start off our first question. It'll be to Jim Libby.
Can you pause it for a moment? Tell me his name again.
I don't remember.
Elmer
I
Owen?
remember.
Is that Owen? Owen?
Owen, yeah, Owen, I think.
I heard Elmer. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Yeah.
Guy sounds he sounds refreshing. He's obviously he's got his finger on the pulse of Maine economy and the challenges for people, challenges for Maine.
Yep.
You know, he has some appeal.
That's the whole field. That's all 8 of them. I'm glad to see that there's a crowded primary in the Republican Party. It's been a very long time since that's happened. I think it's been since the Susan Collins, you and I were talking about it the other day. I think it's been since the primary where Susan Collins faced off against Paul Young and Jack Wyman and 3 others. But that was what, 35 years ago, probably. Do you remember a gubernatorial primary this crowded for the Republican Party?
No. We've had some brisk activity among primaries, but nothing like this. No.
And there's at least, they I mean, I view, having listened to all of them give their 2-minute statement, they all come across as sincere and wanting what's best for Maine, and
without a doubt,
and standing up to offer their experience and skills. So it's encouraging. I'm encouraged after the first.
I like the sound of this guy, but there's a lot more to know. We're dealing with first impressions here. He hit on a lot of positive. These are reminders that we're in terrible shape here in Maine. Things have never been this bad economically in my lifetime. And the outlook, the financial outlook, it's not so much what's happening now, but the outlook is even dimmer. Is a lot more dim. than it's ever been.
Yep.
Both on the state level and on the federal level.
Right.
I mean,
So,
bullets are flying here.
very much so. And we're fast approaching the point where more real bullets are going to start flying if politics can't get its act together, because politics is war without bullets. And if politics fails, then we get war with bullets.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My wife was driving down the street yesterday here in Lewiston on Sabata Street, and she was run off the road right in downtown Lewiston here on Sabata Street. Run off the road. It was either that or she was going to suffer a collision. And the guy said everything but give her the finger. He did not give her the finger. He wanted her lane, and he drove her off the parking lot. Now, what's that got to do with this debate here? Civil behavior is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily because they don't have a good example.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you're going to get a good example from someone like Janet Kills, that's not she's everything but a good example.
Mm-hmm.
And people are in a state of mind where if it's going to be, it's up to me. That's the trailer for success. Get who's in front of you out of the way so that you can be ahead. People are running red lights at an epidemic rate. The cops can't even keep up with it. In fact, they've given up on it. I mean, it's serious. You know, you're taking your life in your own hands when you drive down the street at an intersection. People are running indiscriminately red lights, and I've never seen it any more than it is in Lewiston. It's really bad. You've got drive-by shootings going on Birch Street and Blake, all the tree streets. We've had them every night now for the past 3 months, and that's been the history that predates us as well. It's not limited to 3 months. There is no deterrent for good moral behavior. That's why these things are happening. People take what they want. Now, what's that got to do with this guy here? Well, it starts by having a good example. What we're hearing from the State House here in Maine, and the pledges of our governor, and I call her Janet Kills because that's what she does. Okay, she brought us abortion on demand, live births, dead on the table. She has pushed the envelope of immoral behavior.
Well, and she's made herself consciously during her entire career the boldest defender of the most outrageous extremes of the sexual orientation agenda.
That's right.
She has gladly defended all of the worst about Maine's government that is aimed at destroying family life. And not just her. The Democratic Party has fallen in line with her.
Yeah. She's a bad example. That's right.
The Democratic Party leadership conquered the labor unions in Maine and control them and made them become something that they're not, which is woke. My entire experience as leader of the Christian Civic League was that the labor unions were my most potent adversary on the social issues.
Right.
They were the most conniving. Right. They put the most political effort into
financial effort,
and they hit it. They hit it the best. They hit it the best because the Maine labor unions are not they're not woke. They weren't. They probably are now. But
and regarding the labor unions, they undermine the clean election laws. They undermine them. They're a membership organization. They can spend indiscriminately and undermine the election of their opponents and still not be held accountable. The state's impotent when it comes to clean election laws as it relates to labor unions.
Right.
And I know that because I was a victim of that for at least 2 or 3 of the elections that I ran.
Yeah. So that's the 2-minute statements. We're going to continue on with whatever's next. I'm not sure what's next, but we're about.
Now, this guy Jones, you know his first name? Did you write these names down at all?
No, I didn't. Dave Jones. Dave Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go.
Let's start off with the economy. The cost of living crisis has crushed Maine families and small businesses under Janet Mills, especially when Joe Biden was president. As governor, what is the single most important action you will take to help get the cost of living under control?
Well, I'm going to take this
Good question.
and let you know that
Hey, Mike.
Good question.
my entire campaign is
Yep.
So what happened to Robert Charles? How come we're not hearing from him?
He spoke first. There were
Yeah, but
three. There were three that spoke before you came on.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I really like. I would need to hear him. I'd really like to hear him. Maybe you can do that after.
Well, I can scroll back and play it. It's only 2 minutes long. Let's see. Let me just write down where I am. 2144. Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, that's all right. So, see these two. You see these two guys?
Yeah.
The guy to the left spoke for less than 30 seconds. 30. I don't. And the next guy is the guy I told you about, who's the accountant. I'm not going to play them again.
No.
But-
Sure.
Here's this is Bobby Charles. Let's see. Get to the beginning of him.
Where is this
Right
being
on
held?
opening statements and right to left on the.
Augusta Civic Center.
Mr.
All right.
Charles, you're first.
And I'll try to stay at 2. Good evening. I'm Bobby Charles, and first let me say we have an incredible field here running for governor. And of course, the best thing we all have going for us is the Democrats, who can.
Yeah. Oh well. Don't ask me. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. 418. See if we can make it work again. Okay, 418.
Right on opening statements and right to left on the closing.
Crime, drug trafficking. I'm running to reverse that, to cut crime, cut taxes, and.
Right on opening statements and right to left on the closing remarks. So.
For governor. And of course, the best thing we all have going for us is the Democrats, who continue to devastate our state, making it unaffordable, unsafe, and revoltingly woke. I am running to reverse that, to cut crime, cut taxes, and end the nonsense. My life is blessed. I'm the father of 2 great kids. I grew up in the woods over in Wayne, was raised by a school teacher, began working at 12, saved my money, worked through college, then worked to serve my country. I did that for 10 years in uniform, Navy intelligence, Reagan White House, top federal investigator, Assistant Secretary of State, where I ran a $2 billion operation bringing down drug traffickers, trained the Iraqi and Afghan police, and ran the largest armed air wing outside the Pentagon. Eventually, I started a company dedicated to national security and law enforcement, ran it for 25 years. I understand what it's like to make payroll and to borrow against your house to do that. But the state I came back to is not the one I left. Maine is in peril. As governor, I will rid this state of corruption and all the ugliness that Janet Mills has created. Great minds say we can cut $4 billion out of the budget. I will eliminate the income tax. I will roll back the property taxes, ramp up homestead exemptions for seniors and young Mainers, and I will cut energy costs by at least 30%. As the only crime fighter up here, I will wire brush the illegals, organized crime, drug traffickers, and Chinese grow houses out of this state. And I will work with Trump's ICE and DEA to make sure it's done. I will lift our vets, rescue our kids from indoctrination, and restore real education. I will get the trades back into high schools and create a path to prosperity. A few last things. First, I will work hard to elect a GOP legislature. I think we can do that. I will replace the 7 liberals who sit on Maine's Supreme Court. And now let's make some news. I will call for a special federal prosecutor to investigate the corruption around Janet Mills. My promise is this: I will work tirelessly to get our state back on track. I will cut crime, cut taxes, no nonsense. Thank you.
So there you go. What do you think?
Well, that was refreshing. Without a doubt, it's refreshing. He's got all the important points. You can't have a state that's going to prosper with the crime family that we have in Janet Mills. She epitomizes the crime family here in the state of Maine. Knew the family quite well, up close. I knew Peter Mills. Worked as I caucused in the legislature. He was a stiff, really, when it came to he had no moral compass that he was willing to share with anyone. You don't have to wear that on your sleeve, but you've got to have compassion for those that have the least and legislate on their behalf. So I don't. But getting back to Charles, he's got real potential.
So would you say that it's between Bush and Charles based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would definitely put Charles right up there. If he doesn't have a Republican legislature, he's going to be a lame duck for 4 years. He won't be able to get anything through. Now, his investigations may prove to be helpful and effective, depending on depending if he brings pressure to bear against those who are culpable. We've got a serious problem with the CCP here in the state of Maine. The pot houses, there's over 258 of them statewide. People don't believe that number, but it's real. And he's in touch with individuals who have done the research from individuals from the Maine Wire who have been to every one of these places and have documented the volume of drugs that they're generating here, illegal drugs that are generating here in the state of Maine. This problem with financing gubernatorial races, I have it under good sources, reliable sources, that Janet Mills actually drew from the USAID fund in order to fund her campaigns. Now that's been dismantled from the ground up. That will not yield the kind of help that she and other candidates need that live and thrive in the Democrat Party. So she's turned to drugs. Clearly, that it's the drug economy that's going to keep these people in office. He wants to go after that. That's a very, very, it's an overwhelming task. He's going to be met with resistance at every turn, but which is why I've said all along that we need a force of nature, someone who can bring.
It sounds like, it sounds like from the standpoint of experience as a leader in crime fighting, he would have to be at the top of the list for that.
I would think so, but this is why he's going to have to be a force of nature and move quickly.
Right. Well, he's given evidence of that sort of force of nature characteristic of leadership in his in the way that he's managed his social media presence.
Yeah.
He's to the point. He's assertive. He's aggressive. He's hard hitting, even on controversial issues. So, I'm very interested I'm more interested now in him than I was before I started watching this debate. I'm also more interested in John Bush, but go ahead.
Well, no, I've done a deep dive in how these houses operate. The economy of illicit drugs in Maine is through the roof, and they've disabled law enforcement systemically throughout the state in order to allow these pot houses to thrive. But it's not just the pot houses. It's what that money brings to Maine, the crime that it brings to Maine.
Right.
Drugs coming over the border from Canada into Maine. Everybody thought we had a nice tight border that would keep us safe. That's not the case at all. And we've experienced the politics of our neighbors in Canada. Speaking specifically of Trudeau, he allowed all of this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He allowed these drugs to flow at huge volume into Maine, into the state of Maine, and so the drug culture is without a doubt the worst problem that we have in Maine, and it's systemic. And people are profiting from it. People in high places are profiting from it, and Janet Mills is one of them.
Mm-hmm. All right, shall we continue? You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Take this off first and let you know that my entire campaign is related to lowering the cost of living, and that's our tagline. And so I think the single greatest, I mean, unfortunately, there's several things you have to do short and long term. I think the single greatest thing I've just learned that I have exactly the same as Mr. Bush. We both are calling for a $1 billion over 4 years income tax cut. But when I talk about the short versus the long run, where my constituents in Senate District 22 are suffering the most, unfortunately, is the property tax. So in the short run, there really has to be an effort there to, I got 15 seconds, so I'm going to tell you what that effort is. There really has to be an effort to at least triple the homestead, work with the towns to see if we can convince them to get back to that property tax cap, growth rate cap that we had just a couple of years ago. And there's a lot more to it, and I'm going to have to stop right there.
All right, 1 minute, Robert Wessels.
Thank you. Didn't know which direction we were going there. So in 1 minute, what is my top priority? I would have to say we need to create a Maine Doge. We need to create an entity in the state of Maine that looks at unnecessary spending and inefficiency. Can you imagine government inefficiency? And find solutions that work that will lower our state budget. Our state budget has grown by $4 billion, and that's absolutely ridiculous. And we can cut that significantly simply by doing a Maine Doge. The other piece that the Doge would do is we need to root out bureaucracy and get back to cutting red tape and allowing our businesses to thrive. We are chasing businesses out of the state, and there goes the jobs with them and our kids with the jobs. So again, we need to cut that bureaucracy, we need to cut the red tape, and we need to find efficiencies in there, as well as fraud and corruption. So I am out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan Bush.
All right, cost of living, right? All right, first of all, the taxes is the easiest and most important first thing to do, $1 billion off the income tax. Second, we've got to add a second natural gas pipeline right next to the one we have. It's the fastest way to get our fastest rising cost, which is energy and electricity cost, down. The only reason we don't have it is we're being blocked by certain governors, and we will roll right over them because it's a restraint of trade. Now you can get into the cost of housing. The supply chain, all the way from the first time you ask for permission to the last hammer driven, is absurd. We have to have codes that are immediately available so we can show up with shovels and not lawyers to build our homes. Last thing, property tax in towns. Each town has a huge amount of duplication in Maine, subscale. We need to be able to offer automated services to towns so that their ability to do their job comes down and they don't need to hammer people with the property taxes we have. That's my comment.
Thank you very much. David Jones.
You want to stop it for a moment, Mike?
Well, we've heard those a couple of times here already, but I'm going to say it again because I haven't.
So there you have it, two individuals, but Bush magnifies the kind of ambition and the kind of sense of urgency. And I'm starting to get impressed with this guy.
Right, me too.
If
Me
he's
too.
honest and if he means what he says.
I hate to say it, but because I lived through all the Bushes, right? HW and GW.
If he's honest, Mike, if he's honest, if he's got a good moral character and he means what he says, and the grass doesn't grow under his feet, but that's what happens. Reality sets in. But the reality is that all of these matters can be addressed. You heard a little bit about Doge from the previous speaker, Wessels, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And well, there you are. There's a spark right there.
I really now on that point of Doge, which is technology based, because Doge is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is X.
Correct.
Elon Musk represents the technocracy. I mean, he's kind of the face of the technocracy.
Yeah, but he doesn't own it.
Right, but so what you got from Wessels was Elon Musk, the technocrats are going to save us, right? Where they're going to bring the internet, they're going to bring the database, the manipulation of databases and data, and they're going to save us money, right? I don't like that answer. I don't like that answer as much as I liked Bush's answer, which was to very specifically say, we can help local Maine towns. We, meaning the state of Maine, the government of the state of Maine.
That's problematic.
No, wait, but let me finish. We can help the local towns by using our scale. We're the government of over 1 million people, to help the local towns cut costs in their town offices.
Sure.
That's worth looking at because there
are you talking red tape? Red tape?
Well, for example, when I went to register my car recently in Chelsea, Maine, there's all sorts of wasted time being spent by people keying in things that can just be automated and be even more secure, more private, more respectful of the sovereignty of individual Maine citizens if we get the technology right. So what I'm arguing here, Paul, is that Bush's answer demonstrated a little more precision in his understanding of what technology can bring to help us cut corners and save some money. Whereas Wessels' answer is more generic, and this is the problem. This is the problem that we face right now with the technocracy. The internet needs to be structured, needs to be controlled. It needs to be controlled. It needs to guarantee our privacy and our sovereignty and our citizenship. It can't be used to control us. We have to use it to create efficiencies and such like, right? That's what we have to do. And I saw a hint in Bush that he has an understanding of this at a higher level. But, the last thing you want to trust these days is a technocrat, is someone who's talking about technology and they don't really know what they're saying. They don't really understand what they're saying. So I see hints that Bush might understand it. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I would take that line that you used about control with the internet. I'd find another way of expressing that. Because control precisely does exactly is inviting something that you don't want to do. You don't want the surveillance state. You don't want.
Right. And that's what I saw in Bush's answer, but I didn't see it in Wessels' answer. I didn't see it. I'm reading between the lines.
Sure.
I'm seeing him offer this sort of outsized confidence in Musk and the idea of Doge, and I don't think that's prudent. I don't think that's right. I think it's dangerous. Anyway.
Okay.
So we'll continue on.
Sure.
This is Dave Jones answering the same question.
Different spin on it. It's called David's Office of Government Efficiency.
Oh, that's
I'm
cute.
telling you right now, I
clever.
look at the way government spends our money. We have to lift up the hood. We have to find out what in God's name they're spending our money on. So, People will make promises, they're gonna lower taxes, they're gonna eliminate this, they're gonna eliminate that, but before we can do any of that, we have to find out where the money is. I think the increase of $4 billion of our budget is absolutely absurd. I think the first thing we could do, once we get under the hood, is to eliminate income tax on seniors. I think seniors have paid their dues already. So I would say we have to first take care of them. They've worked their entire life for their home, and now they have to take mortgages out to pay their property taxes. I don't think this is the way it's supposed to be here in this great state of Maine. We have a problem with property taxes, and we have a property with income tax, and I promise you, I'll get the job done.
Owen McCarthy.
So 1 month ago, I heard about my Uncle Thumb had to go buy a skidder because he could no longer afford to live here on Social Security at 77 years old. And so this problem is near and dear to my heart. The three things you have to do. One is you have to build more supply of housing. We need to get out of the way. Government shouldn't be in the way. We should let developers build. Two, energy costs. Solar subsidies are 10% of the cost of electricity that we have in this state right now. It's a $2.5 billion market, 250 million of that is solar subsidies. We need to roll that back and invest in other opportunities like next generation nuclear and like natural gas. And three is taxes. We have a spending problem in the state of Maine. You gotta cut the spending, and then we gotta go after the taxes that hit the people the most. Homestead exemption for property taxes is a great idea, and otherwise, we gotta cut the income tax.
Thank you. Bobby Charles.
So it's great to hear that actually there's a lot of consensus up here. The nutshell version for me is you cannot cut income taxes and property taxes until you cut spending. It's a fundamental fact. And I would literally tell you we've got to get rid of all the funding for the illegals, which is 8,000 illegals. Get rid of that two-year housing, get rid of all that. Get rid of the subsidies, get rid of net energy building, get rid of the subsidies for solar and wind. And then basically cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. And you may say, well, where is it? Well, 4,500 insider contracts is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. So what is the answer to the question? First, you roll back the mandates, 300 or 400 of them on towns and counties so that they can in turn cut property taxes. That is a huge issue. And then I ask you to look at this dollar bill here. It's actually a $5 bill. This $5 bill times 1,000 is the median income tax for payers in this state. I want to leave all 1,000 of these bills in your pocket so that at the end of the day we got $3 billion more, and the multiplier effect creates growth in the state of Maine.
Thank you. Ben Vigili.
Well, it's a pleasure to be the last guy to answer the question. So, oh wait, one more? Oh, sorry. I thought you already went. That doesn't count on my time, does it? Does that count on my time? All right, go. All right, so listen, first it feels like the state's trying to choke people, literally, almost on every turn. It's like everyone here is just the opportunity to get more money to run the state, and it has to stop. So to run through the list, obviously you have to get rid of net energy billing. Electricity can be fixed. If you can't repeal it, you can break it. Lower spending on the budget, you gotta let some steam out of the system. It's not a revenue issue in the state, we have plenty of money. The taxes have to go down. You've got a tax rate at 5.8% if you make $26,000. Massachusetts charges 5% up to $1 million. Our highest tax rate takes place at $63,000. Corporate tax rate's too high. Business isn't going to come here anymore. You can improve the economy. You have to have businesses, small, medium, and large, firing on all cylinders, because without the jobs, you can't fix anything. You've got to rework the insurance market. Health insurance is too high. We have the lowest car insurance in the country. I don't know if you know that. That's because so many people sell car insurance. You can do the same thing here. Improve the volume on housing to bring that pricing down. Property taxes are a crisis. You can stop that and nip the school budgets in the bud, and there's ways to do that.
Thank you. Ken Capron.
It's capron, like an apron with a C on it, but just keep that in mind. Proud to say that I'm the Doge in the crowd. I have done all the things that a Doge would need to do. I know exactly what to do with it when I get my hands on the state, but I'll tell you, there's one thing that all of us have missed except for me. There is a culture in our state which is opposed to growth, opposed to honesty, opposed to accountability, and just outright opposed to anyone telling them what to do. and they spend like banshees, and they run through our money, our tax money, and they keep taking more. So my job is, if I get elected, when I get elected, you're out. My job is to go in and find efficient ways to do more with less. I've done that before, and I'd love to tell you about it, but feel free to grab a flyer.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to the second question. The first response here will be Robert Wessels. Sticking with the economy, under Janet Mills and Augusta Democrats, Maine just saw the highest electricity cost increase in the nation, more than double the next highest state. What steps will you take to not just control, but reduce energy costs for Maine families? Mr. Wessels.
Yes, just a month ago, I was looking at my energy bill, and I agree with you. It's gone up tremendously, and I'm sure most everybody here would agree. We absolutely must address energy, because energy is it's the foundation behind businesses, behind everything, right? When you go to groceries, you're buying energy. When you get your car done, you're buying energy. It's everywhere. And so not only that, but I think one of the things that we absolutely need to key in on is Maine is in competition with the other 50 states. All right, I was talking with a senior manager of a healthcare facility a couple months ago, and I said, what is the #1 problem that you guys are having? Hiring. He said, we look at, he goes to hire a doctor, they're looking at multiple states, and they look at our energy prices, as well as education and all the other things we've talked about, but that is absolutely one of the biggest things that is keeping us from hiring and fixing our economy. So I'm out of time. Thank you.
Jonathan Bush.
Well, I blew my line on the last one. We need that second pipeline badly. It's absurd that we don't have it. We run out of gas all the time. We buy gas on a ship to come from other countries because we don't have, because of the Jones Act, we don't have any, anyway, long story, but not your fault, I'm sure. Day one, first thing, the solar switching and the solar energy subsidies are an instant cut in the cost of electricity. Year 1 or 2 is the second pipeline. And then year 3 or 4 is laying on small modular nuclear reactors that take way less time to shut down, seconds, and are much safer. People still think of nuclear energy as 3 Mile Island. It's not like that anymore. Those 3 waves are what we need to do to get that energy cost down.
David Jones.
Well, small modular nuclear reactors. We have lines that are in place we can activate within probably 3 to 5 years is what I'm hearing. Right? The people that I've spoken to think that's the way to go. Now we also have to have a second source, which is the natural gas, and I agree with Jonathan on this. And I think anybody who's looked into this understands we need that pipeline. Now, how do we get that pipeline in when you have states that are blocking it? You've got to have someone that's going to be able to work with these other states to get the permission, to get the pathway cut, to bring those lines into our state. The idea that we're shipping in gas is absolutely absurd. We have it here, it's close by. All we got to do is have a governor that will work to make sure that we have a relationship with neighboring states to get the job done. It's all about relationships. In the real estate business, that's what I do. I develop relationships. That's what we have to do with our neighbors, and we have to do the same thing with the feds. The idea that we have this blockade between us and Washington, D.C. is absurd. I will cooperate in every single way possible. Thank you.
Owen McCarthy.
I was in Bangor this week and I was talking to a business owner, and she said that they just had a roundtable with Governor Mills, and everyone brought up the cost of energy as a problem, and she was dismissive of that. So we need to win to go do this. And from there, as I said before, the net energy billing subsidies need to be cut. That's 10% of the cost right now. We're actually buying the solar at a higher price. That's a problem. Second, lower cost generation, natural gas, hydro, and nuclear are options there. And we can speak the modular nuclear into existence, I believe. 4 is transparency. Any bill that comes in front of the legislature. We need to make sure it has a ratepayer statement and impact on it so we understand how much it could impact. There's been 330 pieces of legislation and energy passed in the last group of years. It's a lot to uncover, but we need to make sure it's really transparent for all of you when they go through. And finally, people are policy. We need really good people in the energy team that's worked in energy, that's worked, I hate to say this, but as lawyers, because it's really complicated, you gotta understand that, but also our engineers. And those are the things you do to work on lowering energy.
Bobby Charles.
All right, I'm going to try to burn through this since we're all admiring the same problem. There are 10 things I will do. First, I will get politics out of energy. We will get real professionals on the PUC, no more fake deregulation, end net energy billing. That literally is 95% of us paying for 5% to virtue signal. We're not going to do that anymore. Get rid of the wind towers. That costs us 27 cents per kilowatt hour instead of 5 cents. We're going to complete the Constitution pipeline, very, very simple, and link in the Iroquois pipeline. Then we have very cheap natural gas here. We're going to review the 330 energy mandates that Mills has stuck on us. We're going to reconfigure the PUC so you get real experts on it. We're going to force short, medium, and long-term planning. We're going to order the buyout by the PUC of solar contracts, 15%. Discount, and we're going to withdraw from the Regional Greenhouse Initiative and from the 10-state MOU, which is complete junk and hasn't delivered anything. We're going to give it tax incentives for small modular nuclear reactors. I'm already talking to a couple of companies. And we are not going to shut down those 4 dams. We are going to keep SAPI open.
Ben Mitchell.
Okay, so this is really a half-hour topic, so you got to move a little bit. So everyone said you got to repeal net energy billing. You do. There's actually a legislative clause in that. So if you can't get it done with a majority, the governor's got to step up and force that. So you can do that. By getting rid of net energy billing, you can get rid of the public policy charge, or most of it. That's hurting businesses. They have more money. They're going to hire more people, spend more money in the economy. The standard offer needs to be changed. That's where we buy our electricity. We're forced to buy from a portfolio of renewable energies. New Hampshire doesn't do that. They have one of the lowest increases in electricity in the country. They buy from gas and hydro. You got to repeal the hydro cap that King put into place. That's 100 megawatts. That's got to go. That's cheap energy. Reappoint the PUC. We've got bow tie guy that's making all the wrong decisions, raising our rates all the time. You can reweight that committee, and we can get that going the right direction. Appoint a public advocate that's 100% consumer focused. No restrictions on fossil fuels, transportation, storage, or usage. Small nuclear is good. It's going to take 5.5 years from approval. And then just bottom line, we need reliable base load power at the cheapest possible price.
Ken Capron.
You got it right. I'm glad to be the last person to speak on this topic. All right. A couple things. One, I was on George Hale, Rick Tyler's show the other day talking about energy. So if you want 12 minutes of more detail, please check that out, one of their rewinds. And I also have attended a couple of the PUC meetings that are going on now for that rate change of 35% that we all are looking forward to over the next 5 years. And the thing that was concerning is there are not a lot of people coming up with ideas on how to cut energy costs. Obviously, net energy billing is an issue. In fact, the PUC didn't even want to discuss that net energy billing. But I proposed 5 different ways to add revenue without bothering the ratepayer, the taxpayer, the bill payer. So, you know, listen to RT or GHRT, and we'll see if we can solve this one real quick.
When the Shawmut Dam was first being studied, I was working at Colby College, and I was asked to write the economic impact study on the tearing out of the dam. And that was several years ago now, and I knew then that we were in big trouble. We're not in trouble because the paper companies are using the electricity. They use electricity, but where we are in trouble is if we tear those 4 dams down, the water level goes down, and it's actually, the water is what's used in the production process of the paper companies, so you have to have that. So I handed it over to a colleague who had written about the Edwards Dam, and you know what my colleague said? And he thought tearing down the Edwards Dam would be fine after his study. He said, there is no way that we can afford to tear the Shawmut Dam down. And so the reason I handed it over was because I was about to run for the state legislature, and I thought it would be a conflict of interest. And that's just the way I am. So we have to take care of what we have. Hydro is the best. No one's talked about biomass. I really believe that biomass is a great future in this state. Obviously, there's several other clean energy alternatives. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next question.
Hey,
As
Mike.
has been reported by
Mike.
the Main Wire and followed by a number of mainstream media.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. And it's a very serious problem, what they're talking about with the dams. Any hope of getting natural gas into the state of Maine, that's at least 3 or 4 years away. Now, it's better late than never, but any kind of recovery for the state of Maine, it's literally a mood issue. There's so much to unravel. The Natural Resources Council, they're all about deindustrialization. They fully intend to shut down Sappi. And like all the times in the past, all they've ever done to Maine people is lie to them. Now you've got a lot of there's a lot to unpack here with what they're all saying, and they seem to have there's a lot of energy here, not to overuse the word, to talk about energy and how we can make life affordable in Maine. We are in such a terrible economic slump in the state of Maine. We're losing all our youth. If we were losing them before the decline, we're losing them twice as fast. I've had a hard time keeping my boys in the state of Maine. I've got 2 of them that have left. The others know how to make a living. They worked with me, and they know how to handle themselves. And they also know they've accepted the responsibility of how hard they're going to have to work. Maine people are not lazy. They're hard workers. But it gets so that the problem is so overbearing. No matter what you do, even if you work day and night, you're going to have a very difficult time to keep your head above water. So I see the biggest threat here regarding energy as coming from the Maine Resource Council. I'm sorry, not the Natural Resources Council. They are all about deindustrialization. That means getting rid of Sappi and make a vacation state, a playground for out-of-staters. That's what they want Maine to be. They don't want Maine to have their hands in industry. We've lost our paper mills. We've lost our lumber mills. We've only got 1 or 2 of those left. Canada has literally taken over northern Maine in way of logging and lumber. All that stuff's going over. All that value added. What they talked about. We had a Bruce Poliquin talked a lot about that when he ran for Congress, and he found out that Canada was subsidizing the industries in Canada so they could undercut Maine prices. And we had deadheads. We had literally deadheads representing Maine. Olympia Snow, she was in a pivotal position to do something about it. She never did. It took Bruce Poliquin, a Republican, to go in there and uncover the realities that the subsidies were killing Maine. And whatever came of that, they were supposed to pay some kind of penalty, or they had to cease and desist and then show accountability. So that problem is behind us. We're at the end of the food chain. We don't really matter a whole lot when it comes to national politics. The other states are going to get all the attention. Maine has to fend for itself, and it's going to take a very, very strong voice. Charles is that strong voice. Bush is also that strong voice. Others are echoing some of the same details that they're sharing with us.
Right.
And those 4 dams, I'll put money on it right now. Those 4 dams are going to come down. Those 4 Skowhegan dams, and they're going to force Sappi to reconsider the viability of that industry in the state of Maine. I've already talked to them about it. I've been to the state fairs. I've met Sappi officials, and they're very concerned about it. And they want. Well, look what they just did recently with the. Well, it's happening with the water flow. It's happening. Brookfield owns the rights to all the water that flows through what they call the Fish River chain, starts way up north, way up as high as St. John's River. And, you've got the Androscoggin, the Kennebec, the Penobscot River. They own the flow of that river, and they see the writing on the wall. They see the same writing on the wall that the paper mills did when Jonathan Carter came to Maine and sought to ban clear cutting. That was just the tip of the iceberg. And so Great Northern diversified all its land. Great Northern paper and processing mill was the largest industry in Maine. They're gone. Brookfield and was it Creek, Bear Creek? I'm trying to think of the people that own the land around Moosehead Lake. They wanted to take and farm that lumber. They were prevented from doing so by the environmentalists. The environmentalists are causing the greatest harm, and they've got Janet Mills in their pocket. They've got the whole of the Democrat Party in their pocket. Maine people are going to have to taste the kind of poverty that they've never seen before they stand up and realize that these industries need to come back. They need to bring them back, and if that's ever possible, and they need to make it viable so these industries can stay here in the state of Maine. That's a little prophecy here that you're going to see Sappi leave. They take out those 3 dams. It'll be just a matter of time.
I liked hearing, I think it was Bobby Charles promised to pull down the windmills, and I don't know if he promised to get rid of the solar panels in our beautiful, that litter our beautiful landscape.
He's absolutely right.
Landscape, but
yeah.
that definitely needs to happen. Yeah. And also encouraging to hear all of them agree about nuclear, because there have been great advances with nuclear power generation, and that's great. There's a consensus there.
It's going to take a force of nature to make this happen. So the strategy here, the task we have before us, is to find the strongest candidate who believes in himself, who's got a deep and firm commitment that what he knows to be truth, self-evident. It's real. It's truth. What we're pursuing here in a candidate is someone who's honest and someone who knows what truth is. And there are a couple of candidates here who are distinguishing themselves. Charles is certainly one of them, and Bush is the other.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've
got a serious problem, very serious problem in Maine. And I don't know how people are going to get by. I don't know how they're going to make it. Help is on the way, but it's 4 years away.
Yeah, me either. And in those 4 years, you're right. We're going to need to have a force of nature who's going to, like you said, I like the way you said it. He's going to have to convince in a nanosecond that he's honest, and
not look back. Not look back.
Right. Yeah.
And be prepared to take the kind of criticism that Donald Trump is taking to get illegal immigrants out of this country and to bring some sanity back to Washington.
Right. In this case, to Augusta.
To Augusta.
and Augusta is as insane as Washington D.C. is.
Yeah.
We've allowed it because of the neglect of the citizenry. We've allowed our state capitals and our national capital to become derelict and corrupt and unconstitutional. And that's, like you say, it's going to take time to fix that. But we don't have a lot of time now.
I want to give some credibility to what I've done for the past 30 to 40 years. I was a member of the Maine Conservation Rights Institute. They had a pulse on what was happening with Great Northern, and also with Jonathan Carter. We had Michael Kaufman. He wrote he wrote some tremendous books. He was an environmental scientist and exposed the fraudulent science that Jonathan Carter used to try to shut down clear cutting in the state of Maine. Fortunately, and we fought to get these people out of there. I was part of that effort. Maine has great potential, but not for working people. It's for those people who live out of state. Go to my brother lives on, and he's a Mainer, and he lives right off Mount Desert Island. That population swells to, it's way over 100,000. There's 300,000 people that come and go actually it's over 1 million. There's a ship off the coast of Maine waiting to dock now, and the passengers have a neurovirus. They're trying to debate what they're going to do about the ship. They're going to allow them to dock. But all I'm trying to point out here is in Bar Harbor, the amount of people that come into Maine, and they don't exploit our resources. They're entitled to experience them, but that's what they want Maine to be. They want Maine to be a place where people can vacation. They don't want industries, and they don't want the working class. The Democrats are against the working class. That's why I'm listening to this Republican debate to see if there's still hope of bringing somebody in here who can provide some real leadership. That's what I have to say. It's a lot of bloviating. So I've been part of the Maine Right to Life, MECRI. I've worked with land rights institutes. Chuck Smith, who's deceased now, who's out of New Hampshire, who warned us about the Northern Forest Lands Council. They wanted to establish a regional government that would control the land and sequester all our national parks and the northern Maine woods. They wanted to sequester all of that. I was part of that effort to keep those movements out. And I can tell you what the dangers are. They're still here.
Shall we continue? We've been going for 1 hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about splitting this in two because we're not even halfway there. And we're closing in on 2 hours. How about if we go to 2 hours and then we'll stop and then we'll do a second half? Would that work for you?
Sure.
Okay. So we'll go for another 15 minutes or so.
Sure.
And then we'll stop and then we'll come back and finish the debate at another time. And if you're interested in knowing when that's going to be, or you can go and subscribe to my email at michaelheath.org, and I'll be sure to give notice ahead of time when we're going to finish this debate. So does that sound fair, Paul? I'll also put it on my social media accounts. So if you want to be notified, then go to my website and subscribe to my email. It's free. There's a subscription button at the top. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue now with the debate between the 8 gubernatorial candidates for the Republican nomination.
Outlets, and even discussed in hearings in Washington, D.C. by Senator Susan Collins. Chinese organized crime has put down roots in Maine, but Democrats, including Governor Janet Mills, seem to be uninterested in dealing with it. This is not only marijuana, but narcotics, and in some cases, human trafficking. What actions will you take to eradicate, not just fight, but eradicate this problem in Maine? Jonathan Bush.
I am amazed at the slip of the rule of law in this state over the last 8 years. Do you know we passed a law that if you identify as homeless, you can get caught breaking and entering and not go to jail? You can use hard drugs in public. These weed houses, oh well, weed's legal now, so what's the difference? These are illegal weed houses. This idea that subjectively, based on what you need, based on your plans, based on the identity of the criminal, that you can change the rule of law is a poisonous, toxic way of thinking about society. It's bad for the regular people who do their work, thank you girl, who do their work and play by the rules, but it's also bad for the criminals themselves. Sometimes 3 hots in a cot are what it takes to save a life. Some order in their life, some sense that there's a boundary. And the insult on our law enforcement community, not allowed to help with federal investigations of immigrants, illegal immigrants, not allowed to work together to arrest people. This is crazy talk, and it will stop when I'm coming.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you. 1 minute, David Jones.
Yes, sir. So I've spent the last, 45 days touring most of the correct.
That was, I just have to pause it there.
Good.
That was spot on. He made a moral argument against, he made a moral argument for order, for lawful order.
Yeah.
And he salted it with compassion for the criminal, saying that punishment is necessary for some souls in order to redeem them, in order to
There's no question about
save
it.
them from crime. And he
Yeah.
said it. He said it really well. It was very convincing. I'm impressed with this guy.
Yeah, he's got passion, and there's real potential there. But we have to wait and see, Mike. There's a lot more that we need. There's a lot more that we need to learn. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, I just want to throw that in, but
yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Centers throughout the state of Maine. And I've talked with all the sheriffs, and one general consensus I have is that the biggest problem we have here is the infiltration of illegal drugs, and the Chinese cartels are a big part of that. That's where it's stemming from. Now, we're, in many cases, I hate to think that this is what's happening, they're being told to stand down. Police officers are turning a blind eye because they're told by the people that are running our cities and our towns to stand down and allow it. Day one, I promise you that every local PD, sheriff's department, state trooper will be given the green light to enforce the laws of our land without exception, I promise. If that doesn't work, then the National Guard will come in to help them as well. But we will stop it, it'll be done, and we'll get back to what we all want here in the state of Maine, where we're safe, secure, and drugs are not part of our culture.
Thank you. Owen McCarthy.
Well, as governor, you have the bully pulpit and the ability to message and talk about an issue and speak it into existence. And for this one, this is one that we need to acknowledge, we need to talk about it, we need to let the criminals know that this is not okay in our state. 2 is we need to really drive support for law enforcement and interagency coordination. 3 is we need to use every means necessary to disrupt the flow of money into these organizations. Money is the way that things move, and there's a lot of real estate transactions, and there's a lot of ways that we can work through that. And finally, this is just something that we need to make sure that is top of mind, and it has been done in places like Oklahoma. They have driven them out, they have come here, we can drive them out of Maine, and we'll have to do that.
Thank you.
That's a good answer. What's that?
I've spent the better part of my life doing this, and I'll make it as quick as possible.
I said that was a good answer. Anything else?
it's a good answer, but it doesn't have a context. He's just echoing what people are telling him is the problem. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. First, we absolutely do need to get ICE in and the illegals out. That is a start, because a lot of them are tied to the major drug trafficking groups. Second, we're going to make every county in this state a high-intensity drug trafficking area. That means we have one now, all 16. We're going to get SAMHSA money in, which then allows the Get Well, Stay Well plan for treatment. We're going to up-fund the police instead of down-funding them. We're going to take the cuffs off, let them do their job, and protect our border. I want to close by showing you something. This is a needle okay? These are needles. And this is naloxone hydrochloride. This is Narcan. I will tell you right now, they give out 240,000 of these a year, Narcan, to resuscitate people. They give them to our schools. And these needles, they give out 3.7 million of them. This is not the solution for the state of Maine. 10,000 overdoses need to be stopped, and we drive the drug traffickers out.
Amen.
Yeah, good. Well, there's the context.
Thank you.
There's the context right there. You know, telling people you're against it was never adequate, and it certainly isn't today. There's your context. There's a guy that is not just against it. He knows what the problem is, and he knows how to fix it.
Right. And what I liked about Bush's answer with respect to your observation about context was that was a really high level context that we all have to come together and agree about and become passionate about.
Right.
And it goes across all of our laws. It goes across. It's everything.
It's a sense of urgency.
Yeah,
they understand how critical the problem is, and they have a sense of urgency.
Yeah. And Bush's comment pointed out that law is law. You enforce laws. You pass just laws, and then you enforce them. That was and that's the context. This is what we need to do with everything. We need to create good laws. I lived for this. I love the fact that the Christian Civic League of Maine, its 3 founding purposes, when it was created March 29th of 1897, and it still exists today. It's very well funded, and it could do so much more good than it is doing right now if it would return to these founding principles. One of them was to enact good laws and to provide for their impartial enforcement, and that was precisely Bush's argument in terms of context. Enact good laws and provide for their impartial enforcement. No more corruption. No more Jezebel Janet Mills's lawyer brother working the real estate deals for the Chinese Communist Party.
Amen to that.
No more of that.
Right.
So
it's very good. It's very, very good.
Well,
very good.
Well, you too. Thanks. So, all right. It's close to 2 hours. I think what we'll do is we'll call it good and let Paul get his hunting rifle scoped in so he can. Are you going hunting today?
I should be.
You should be. That's right. You should be. That's right. Enough of this politics.
Well, I just came back from northern Maine. You know, hunting quail and grouse.
Yeah. I love that about your character, about my 40 years of knowing you. Is you really are, you're a carpenter by trade. You raised 9 children. You've got 40 grandchildren. You're a hunter. You're a fisherman. You were born and raised here. You're second generation French Canadian Catholic, Maine. You're very loyal to Maine, and
I love Maine with all my heart.
Yeah,
and it broke my heart when I saw my children leave, but I managed to hold on to 7 of them.
Yeah, 7 are still here.
7 are still here.
And your wonderful wife, Susan, is continuing her long tradition of being a teacher. She started, right, she's a certified public school teacher.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And then she became the teacher for your 9 children because you homeschooled. She
started homeschooling, and she homeschooled all our children. And she's still homeschooling today. We have several of our grandchildren come for at least 2 or 3 days a week for schooling.
Yeah.
And they're getting a top-notch education.
And I love to talk to you. One of the things that gets you so really exercised is the fact that you've made great sacrifices working as a carpenter in Maine, and you've brought together a life that includes 9 children and 40 grandchildren and this deep loyalty to Maine. And you have almost no patience anymore for people who say it can't be done. You have, as you've gotten older, you're about 12 years older than me or so. As you've gotten older, you become more ferocious about how important it is to know that we can do this in Maine. We can do this. We can solve these problems. Basically, if you can do it, through those, with all of those realities over the last 75 years, we can do this. We got this. We can do this. And you can get married. You can have children. You can have grandchildren. You can be 75 years old and be at peace and be grateful for the state you live in.
And still be productive, right?
And still be productive and be grateful for the state that you live in. There's hope for the future. That's a huge part of what's lacking is people are afraid. They're because of they've been
and they've left all the decision making to technocrats. To people like Janet Kills.
That's right. That's right.
That's the crime family here in the state of Maine. The Mills family.
And the Democratic Party now, it's become a crime syndicate.
They're only doing what they've been allowed to do. And when Maine families have had it, they'll do something about it.
That's right, they will. And I see reason to believe that we're approaching that point. But we don't have, like you said, and I say all the time, we don't have a lot of time left. We have got to solve this politically, or else.
No, we're at the point. What's happening today is not sustainable, and people have lost a lot of resources as a result of bad government.
Correct. That's right. And not just resources, but their landscape with all of this nonsense that's driven from above by the globalists that produces these pastures full of solar panels and these beautiful mountaintops with lines of windmills. This is ridiculous. And I'm glad to hear these guys talking about tearing all that stuff out, or at least Charles. I'd like to know what Bush's position is on that, windmills and we heard him.
Yeah.
We heard him on nuclear. He's good on nuclear. I don't know where he is on windmills and
that
solar.
liability of all of the windmills that we have is all going to fall back on the municipalities that allowed them to come in. They provided seed money to put them up. When they're in a state of disrepair, those municipalities are under contract to maintain them.
That's not going to be affordable. It's not.
No, it's going to bankrupt these municipalities. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Great. Well, my name is Mike Keith. I'm with Paul Madore. We've been live streaming the gubernatorial debate for the last 2 hours. It's on archive. You can watch it and share it. And then we're going to be coming back to finish the rest of the debate soon. We're not going to try to commit right now, but once we go offline, I'll chat with Paul and see if we can pick a time. And you need to go and subscribe to my email, or you can follow me on YouTube. I think they automatically let you know if I've got something scheduled. But anyway, the best way to know what's coming is to subscribe to my email at michaelheath.org. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Paul, for being with us. And have a great Saturday and Sunday. Have a great
my
weekend.
pleasure, Mike. My pleasure.